Now, the NFL confirms sad news about the Chiefs. A brutal injury has occurred. What will the team do without their star? Leave your like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. The Kansas City Chiefs 2025 season is barely underway, and already they're dealing with another major setback at wide receiver. Rookie sensation Xavier Worthy, who was expected to play a pivotal role in the offense this year, suffered a dislocated right shoulder during the season opener against the Los Angeles Chargers in São Paulo, Brazil. The injury occurred in a freak accident when Worthy collided with veteran tight end Travis Kelce on an underneath crossing route. After just 3 snaps, the promising young receiver was forced out of the game, and now his immediate future is uncertain. According to NFL Network, Worthy is in the process of seeking a second medical opinion, which could provide more clarity on the severity of the dislocation and the timeline for his recovery. For now, the Chiefs are bracing for him to miss at least some time, though the exact number of weeks remains unclear. Reports indicate that when Worthy does return to action, he may be forced to wear a shoulder brace for added protection. That's never an ideal solution for a receiver who thrives on speed, agility, and explosive movement after the catch. The timing of the injury couldn't be worse. Kansas City is already without star wideout Rashee Rice, who was suspended for the first 6 games of the season due to a violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy. Rice was disciplined after being involved in a multi-car crash on a Dallas freeway in 2024 and leaving the scene. His absence left a major hole in Kansas City's passing attack, and Worthy was expected to step into that void, providing Patrick Mahomes with another dangerous weapon in the early part of the season. Now, with both Rice and Worthy sidelined, Andy Reid's offense must scramble to adjust. The pressure will fall heavily on Marquise Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton to step up and fill the gap. Brown, the team's top offseason acquisition, already looked like Mahomes' go-to option against the Chargers, but he'll now need to carry even more of the workload. Juju, who returned to Kansas City after his stint in New England, will also be asked to regain his form and provide consistency as a possession receiver. Meanwhile, Thornton's speed could give the Chiefs some vertical juice, though he has yet to prove he can handle a significant role in a high-pressure offense like Kansas City's. The Chiefs' receiving depth has been a concern for over a year, and the situation is only getting more complicated. Rookie Jalen Royals, who was viewed as another potential contributor during Rice's suspension, missed Week 1 with a knee injury and may not be ready in time for Week 2 either. What was once seen as a deep and versatile group of receivers now looks thin and fragile heading into one of the toughest stretches of the season. For Worthy himself, the setback is devastating. The 22-year-old wideout had an outstanding rookie season in 2024, quickly proving himself as one of the most exciting young playmakers in the league. He scored 9 total touchdowns, 6 receiving and 3 rushing, while recording 59 catches for 638 yards. His versatility, combined with his blazing speed, made him a perfect fit for Andy Reid's creative offensive system. Chiefs fans were eager to see how he would expand his role in year 2, especially with Rice unavailable to start the season. Instead, Worthy now finds himself sidelined, and questions loom about how quickly he'll be able to return to form once his shoulder heals. Dislocations can be tricky, particularly for receivers who rely on their arms and shoulders to fight off coverage, extend for difficult catches, and secure the ball in traffic. Even if he returns with a brace, it may take time for him to regain confidence in his physical ability. The bigger picture for Kansas City is also concerning. The Chiefs are already 0-1 after their 27-21 loss to the Chargers in Brazil, a game in which they looked out of sync offensively and outmatched defensively. Now they must prepare to face the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in Week 2, a rematch of Super Bowl 59. Philadelphia opened their season with a 24-20 win over the Dallas Cowboys and looked every bit like the balanced, dangerous team that hoisted the Lombardi Trophy earlier this year. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have overcome adversity before, but this is yet another reminder of how fragile the Chiefs' margin for error has become. Losing Rice to suspension was already a blow, but losing Worthy, at least for the near future, compounds the problem significantly. Unless Brown, Juju, or Thornton can elevate their games in a major way, Kansas City may be forced to lean even more heavily on Kelce and their running backs to generate offense. For now, all eyes remain on Worthy's medical evaluation. A second opinion could reveal whether this will be a short-term absence or a longer one that extends deep into the regular season. Either way, the Chiefs know they cannot afford to stumble out of the gates in a highly competitive AFC. The defending champions already have their backs against the wall, and with the Eagles up next, the pressure is higher than ever. Well, that's not exactly the way Kansas City Chiefs fans imagined the season kicking off. The excitement of a brand new NFL year came crashing down in São Paulo, Brazil, as the Chiefs dropped their opener to the Los Angeles Chargers by a score of 27-21. What was supposed to be the start of another championship campaign instead turned into a sobering reminder of just how many issues this team is currently facing. From the opening whistle, Kansas City looked flat. Both sides of the ball lacked urgency, and while the Chiefs showed flashes of life in the second half, it was never enough to truly threaten what the Chargers had going. The performance felt like a continuation of the troubling patterns that plagued this franchise late last season, leaving many to wonder just how quickly Andy Reid's team can right the ship. Of course, injuries and absences played their role. The Chiefs entered the game knowing they'd be without Rashee Rice, suspended for 6 games, and rookie Jalen Royals, sidelined with injury. But what they didn't anticipate was losing Xavier Worthy after just 3 plays, when the rookie collided with Travis Kelce and dislocated his shoulder. That forced Kansas City to rip up a good chunk of its offensive plan before it even had time to take shape. The Chargers, meanwhile, were led by a sharp Justin Herbert, who put together one of his best performances against Kansas City in recent memory. The Chiefs' defense, run by Steve Spagnuolo, looked confused for long stretches, whether it was the front failing to generate pressure or the secondary losing track of receivers like Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston. Los Angeles consistently found ways to attack. Keenan Allen looked like his prime self again, and Herbert had answers for nearly everything Spagnuolo dialed up. Offensively, Patrick Mahomes and his receivers never found consistent rhythm. With Worthy gone and Rice already out, Mahomes was forced to lean heavily on Marquise Hollywood Brown, who finished with 10 catches for 100 yards. On paper, that production looks good, but the reality was far less efficient, padded by a desperation fourth-quarter heave on 4th and 7 that somehow turned into a miracle play. Beyond that, there wasn't much sustained chemistry. Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton struggled to make meaningful impacts, and Andy Reid's usual reluctance to commit to the run game showed up once again, leaving the offense one-dimensional. Up front, the offensive line was a mixed bag. Rookie first-rounder Jonathan Simmons looked solid despite a couple of false start penalties, while Kingsley Suamataia held his own in his first start at left guard. Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith did their usual jobs, bringing some stability. But Jawaan Taylor? That's a different story. Taylor's penalty issues are becoming legendary for all the wrong reasons. After leading the league in penalties in both 2023 and 2024, he opened the 2025 season by racking up 4 more 2 false starts in crucial moments and 2 holding calls that killed momentum. His lack of discipline is crippling drives, and at this point, it's becoming impossible to justify his continued presence in the lineup. The Chiefs brought in Jalen Moore from the 49ers this offseason, and while Moore may not be a huge upgrade talent-wise, it's hard to imagine him being as consistently damaging as Taylor has been. For a player making $60 million, Taylor is quickly becoming one of the most frustrating contracts in franchise history. On defense, the problems are equally glaring. The pass rush was non-existent without heavy blitzing, putting the secondary in impossible situations. The cornerbacks and safeties struggled to hold coverage, and for long stretches, Herbert picked them apart with ease. Chris Jones remains the centerpiece of the line, but relying on a 31-year-old veteran to do it all while freelancing at times is a dangerous gamble. The Chiefs attempted to bolster the group with rookies Omar Norman-Lott and Ashton Gillotte, plus a trade for Derek Nady, but the moves may not have been enough to address what was already a thin unit. The secondary, once a source of pride for Kansas City, now looks like a work in progress. With Justin Reid gone, the safety room is filled with youth and inexperience, and while players like Jaden Hicks have potential, growing pains are inevitable. The corners, led by Trent McDuffie, should improve as the season progresses, but the week 1 showing left plenty of questions. The combination of a defensive line that can't generate consistent pressure and a secondary that struggles to hold up in coverage is a recipe for disaster if adjustments aren't made quickly. Still, perspective is important. This is just one of 17 games, and the Chiefs have the talent and coaching to recover. Mahomes remains capable of carrying a flawed roster, and Reid has weathered storms before. But with Rice out, Worthy hurt, Taylor struggling, and Spagnuolo's defense searching for answers, Kansas City has real issues to solve, and fast. The schedule doesn't ease up, either. Next up, the Chiefs host the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in a rematch of Super Bowl 59. Philadelphia is fresh off a gritty win over the Cowboys and will bring even more challenges on both sides of the ball. If Kansas City doesn't clean up its mistakes and find energy quickly, a 0-2 start for the first time since 2014 is a very real possibility. For now, the hope is that Worthy's injury doesn't linger, Rice returns ready to play in Week 7, and some of these younger pieces on defense can grow into bigger roles. But one thing is certain, the Chiefs have a lot of work to do if they want to prove they're still the team to beat in the AFC.